Hello, hello people. Good morning. Just waiting for a few more minutes for people to join, and then we can start. Kindly help me share our new platforms as well so that people can join us, and then we can keep up. We will start at 10 minutes past 11.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Good morning once again. Thank you so much for joining us. It's 10 minutes past 11, so I guess we'll just kick off our session and the rest of the participants will join us along the way. It's good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I see we still have some other people in the waiting room who are joining us one by one. So we'll get right into it. Thank you for joining us, Fiona. Thank you for joining us, Wilson. I see one of our facilitators is also already on the call. So we look forward to engaging and also learning from you. My name is Natasha Katangachi. I am an entrepreneur. I'm also a career as an employability officer at Cavendish University, Uganda. And I'm also your designated moderator for the Career Essentials series under the Future of Work. So we have a session every single week on Friday at 11 a.m. This has been running for 3 months. We're in our second month now. And basically, we've been covering the future of work, targeting young people that are launching their career path or navigating the path into their careers as they start out. And we've mostly been looking at what does the future of work mean? What does it entail? What are some technology tools that young people can make use of to have productivity in their workplaces? How they can take advantage of their networks to navigate their careers. And also last week, we looked at managing finances as a freelancer, which was a very insightful session, taking us deeper into what it actually means to manage your finances as a young person who is developing a career in freelance. And yet again, today we have another session and we'll be looking at building a successful freelance portfolio. And we have great facilitators on the call already. I see Bernard Olupot is here, and I also see Mark is here, so it's good to have you. Mark Donald Nanura is a digital content curator. He's also a TV and radio host at Next Media, and he has experience and deep acumen in the area of freelancing and what it means to build a successful freelance portfolio. So today he will be talking to us. What does freelance mean? What is a portfolio anyway? As young people who are launching out into our career space, either into employment or freelance creative work, how can we build our portfolios and why are they important? So without taking any more time, I'd like to invite Mark to take us through. And right after that, we'll have our next facilitator that I'll introduce and invite. In the meantime, as they share, please take note of your questions. We'll have a Q&A session after they've spoken. We'll use both the mic and the chat section so that we can get to interact on different levels to address all the questions that we have. All right, thank you so much. I'd also like to kindly encourage our facilitators to have their cameras on so that our participants get to know and see who they are learning from. Thank you so much. I'd like to take this honor to invite you, Mark Donald Munano.
I thank you. Mic check.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Good morning, guys. So I'm going to just be taking you guys through what freelance is, how to get a proper structure for an online portfolio, and the practicality of the last stage, which is the promotion of that particular portfolio. How you can do it even while you're still building this particular portfolio. Now, we all know freelance is basically self-employed work, that you get contracted to do by companies or like particular assignments they would want someone to do. Some people call them consultants, others call them independent contractors. So yeah, you're out there, you have your resources, you have your knowledge and your skills, and an entity has said, you know what, we need Monera McDonald to come through and give us some photography, videography, or maybe he's good at software development and we would like him to do this particular work for us. So basically, that's what being a freelance worker actually means. So I'm just gonna peruse through the structure. Then I think I'll focus on the promotion of the portfolio. So the structure here would be identifying your niche, which is the most important thing if one is a freelancer. And then showcasing your best work, right? Finding structure that can effectively say or show your best work. Client testimonials, people you've worked with before, highlighting the skills and tools that you do have, putting all of this in a professional presentation or on professional platforms like LinkedIn, or having your own website where you would put this. There's so many easy development platforms that you could use to do that, like Squarespace, Wix, yeah, and then also having your contact information everywhere, going as far as having cards and sharing them with multiple people. Then obviously the final one, the promotion of the portfolio, right? And that's what I'm going to focus on today, the practicality of building this portfolio. So I think I'm going to start from you having the skill and then now wanting to put it out there. You have maybe zero experience, zero work you've done before, and you want to do something, right? So we're looking at two things where we could start from: collaborations and partnerships. So collaborations, these are people you would have to collaborate with in a similar industry, right? So you've chosen your niche, which could be maybe I am a drone photographer and videographer, but I want to work with Sasha Vibes, who is a well-known videographer in music production, music video production. So obviously I'm gonna hit him up and say, hey, how can I come through and, render my service? So we could collaborate on particular projects, right? So in doing that, you find that you have some sort of visibility that's going to come from there and some sort of lead generation. Because if you're shooting for, say, Navio and Chiba have a song together and a shoot is going to be done, at least some people on that particular set are going to be coming from different parts, different places, or even just maybe direct, like Shiba. She could be like, hey, I actually like your drone shots. I have a friend of mine that's going to get married, How could we get contact information and work together, So things like that, just getting that network where you're going to have more leads coming in, because the more you do, the better you become. And the more you do, the more money you get, So it's a win-win situation, especially for freelancers. The more work you've done, they'll trust you more. And you can only do this professional work for starters when you do get these collaborations in place. And we're saying, what's better than 1 billionaire? 2, right? So we're looking at a situation where you step outside, try to get some social capital from as many people in your industry as possible. And then when we go down to partnerships, we're looking at entities and establishments. Maybe I'm a comedian on YouTube, I'm a YouTube creator, say Uncle Mo, right? I'm killing it over there. I have thousands of views, but there's a certain next media somewhere, where we know, regardless of what the digital space looks like today, mainstream is still king. There are more people watching the television than the people on the first screen. Although we know that's where everything is going today. The first screen, everything is going on digital. How does he then increase his reach? How does he then increase his professionalism? His credibility, because brand credibility is a big thing when it comes to building one's portfolio. You would go and say, partner with Next Media if you're a YouTube creator. And then you also have that. That's part of your arsenal, I have my digital stuff going on, but I also have an arm in mainstream media with Next Media, say NBS or Sanyuka, So in doing that, find that you're reaching more people and maybe Prudential is watching and they're like, hey, I like this guy's presentation. Can we have this guy on board? You start getting more clients than before, right? So these two work hand in hand in the sense that, say, Uncle Mo has that sort of partnership with, say, NBS, and you want to collaborate with him, and maybe my name is Raymond Kahuma, and I'm like, hey, how can we do something together? So I have tapped into Uncle Mo's other partnerships by just doing one video with him. So collaborations and partnerships play a big role when it comes to the promotion of a portfolio. The more they see you, the more they know you. And when you walk in particular rooms, when they already know you, it becomes easy for you to get these gigs coming in constantly, right? And we know consistency is key, especially when you're a freelancer. Once this one is done, the next one is assured. So there's no space in between. So you're just going back to back to back. Yeah. And obviously, while you're doing the collaborations and the partnerships, the end goal must be vivid. It must be written out. Have your end result, from a particular collaboration, and this is what I want. I want to be the next best drone operator in Uganda, right? You write it down, write the small steps, the incremental steps that you're going to take for incremental self-improvement, right? Because we understand once you're a freelancer, you need to, when it comes to growth, you need to aim as low as possible, because those small wins, that's the stuff that accumulates and builds up the winning effect. So you find yourself just winning every single day. In every move you make, you find yourself winning. And if you're only gathering wins, the next thing that you're getting is a win. So it's very hard to fall from 90 to 100. It's very hard to fall from 100 when the last place you were at was 90. But if you come from 0 to 100, you're going back to 0. So those small incremental steps help us at least have some sort of experience. But we obviously have to start small if we're coming from 0. Yeah. Put your head down. Some people do not want to do volunteer work, but it actually helps the most. Some companies will actually ask you if you've ever done any sort of volunteer work, and that right there could help boost your portfolio. So when you're structuring how effective your testimonials are going to be, if you've been a volunteer before, could put somebody you volunteered for. That could really push you out there, because we know for a freelancer, your portfolio is your resume or CV, right? So there's this thing that I always tell my team: all ideas are good ideas. The difference between a good idea and a great idea is the execution. So I do believe if this is executed so well, this is what a freelancer really needs to build a proper portfolio. It starts from the promotion, although the promotion is the last stage of the structure of a digital portfolio. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. Mic check.
Yes, Mark, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for that. Mark has highlighted the structure of a digital portfolio, which includes promotion. And he has also said that the difference between a good idea and a great idea is the execution. And he believes the structure he shared should be great for you to execute a portfolio, to come up with a digital portfolio if you execute it well. Thank you so much for those insightful highlights. Do we have any questions for Mark? Please feel free to raise your hand and we shall send you a request to unmute, or you can also use the chat section. Okay. Since no one has any questions yet, I don't know, Mark, did you want to add on to that, or can we first move to the next facilitator and then all the questions can come in after that?
I think we could move to the next facilitator, but I think I could just add a little thing
Yeah, sure.
from someone that I really look at when I'm doing almost everything I do. He's a philosopher. He's a modern day philosopher. His name is Jordan Peterson. So Peterson comes out to say, he who has a why can bear almost anyhow. So if you have a reason as to why you're doing this particular thing you're doing, let it be the motivation you need to ultimately find the how. You know, starting is the greatest thing. You know, I think that's what I have to add on top of what I had said, and I'll be here for any questions, and I'll also be here engaging with the rest of the speakers.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. That's very, very eye-opening. He who has a why can bear anyhow. It kind of reminds me of the fact that where there is a will, there is a way. So for as long as you know why you need to achieve something, how you're going to get there can always be tweaked and also figured out until you get there. So what matters is to start. Thank you so much. That is very, very insightful and helpful. At this point, I'm going to take the honor to invite our next trainer for the session, who is a writer, he is a digital marketer, and he's also a traveler, and definitely has a vast knowledge on freelancing, especially in the digital landscape. And he's going to be talking to us about building a successful freelance portfolio as young people who are launching out to our careers. I'd like to invite, um, Bill over to you, please. Be on the call. Please. Hey, Isaac, is Bill on the call?
He told me he's joining. I think you just can give him just 2 minutes as he settles down, then we'll be able to speak.
In the
Just 2
meantime,
minutes.
participants, if you have any questions for Mark, please feel free to put it out here so that we can address those as we wait for Bernard to join us. He's here now. He should be back. Training.
Is he here now?
He's in the waiting room. Okay, he should be on the call now. Bernard, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect.
I think, yeah,
Let
you
me
dropped off. Sorry?
if I can turn my video on.
Sure thing.
I want
Thank
to
you so
try and
much.
turn my video on. It's a bit of a fight here, but let's see.
Yeah, we can see you now. It's so good to see you.
It should be fine.
Yes, we can see you now.
There you go.
It's good to see you.
It's been a
Yes.
fight. Look, so first off, apologies. Yeah, the way the internet is set up in my house, there are specific places where I can access it. One of them being the kitchen. Um, so, I'm in the living room right now, but, it may or may not jump off. I just
Yeah.
want to put it out there. So 1,000 apologies. I hope it can be
No
heard loud and
problem
clear.
at all. No problem at all. Thank you so much for joining us, Bernard. You had actually dropped off
Yeah.
at a point where I was just introducing you to the participants so that you can go ahead
Okay.
and share with us your 2 cents on building a successful freelance portfolio. Over to you.
All right. So first things first, as I already said, apologies. The internet in my place is very wacky. It's it's not the most reliable. There are specific areas, there are specific places where it can be accessed, and then so moving between here and there has been a bit of a fight. But and that's one of the benefits of freelancing, right? I can have my meeting on the balcony. I can have my meeting depending on where the internet allows me to be. So that's one thing that I just thought I should put out there. I'm not so sure how I was introduced, but I want to reintroduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Bernard. I feel like I need to say that over and over because very many people mispronounce it. I had you mispronounce it as well. The name Bernard Ewalu or Lupot. But because of the challenges in pronouncing it, I'm happy and okay being called B-Wall. B-Wall is what I would go by unofficially. So what I do is I do a lot of digital media communication. I do social media management. I'm a writer. I'm a blogger, and I travel. Right. Outside of that, every now and again, you might hear me on the radio somewhere, or you might see me on the TV somewhere. But it's mostly because I do the things that I am very passionate about. And for me, passion is a key driver in the things I do, in the life I live, in basically how I survive and how I thrive. My passion is a very, very important thing. Um, when I received the invite for this training here, I thought of 1,001 things that I want to share. But of course, because of time challenges, I have had to kind of compress all of them into little, I've had to compress them into a more galvanized, like an easier to consume kind of package, right? Because as a person who's been fighting tremendously against the 9 to 5 slavery, so to say. I'm a big advocate for people kind of going their way, for people embracing who they are, for people walking away from that struggle of waking up early in the morning and on your right you have your kids who need to get to school very early. On your left, you have your partner who probably woke up grumpy, and you have yourself. You're also not in the best of moods yet. All of you have got to kind of get yourselves together to go to work. And once you get to work, there is, I don't know, Annette in HR who is telling you you're supposed to clock in at 8 a.m. It's 8:45. Where the hell have you been? And then there's your boss who's asking you, I sent you an email yesterday at 4 p.m. Why have you not responded to it? And there's a client who's demand, like there's all these things that are coming at you. And this happens 5 days a week, right? It happens every month of the year. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, can you not free yourself from that, right? And the obvious answer for myself and very many people I know is yes, you can and you should. Freelancing is a very wonderful, at the risk of sounding like I want people to quit their jobs, allow me to first of all tell you that if somebody is doing the 9 to 5 and they have a sense of fulfillment in that, please by all means embrace it. But if you are the kind of person who feels empty every now and again when you go to work, you're seated in front of your screen at work, and you're staring at the blankness on your laptop, looking at all these emails coming in and thinking to yourself, is this really what I was created to do? Is this really my purpose, to come here and serve a boss who's yelling at me all the time, to come here and respond to clients who never appreciate what I do, to come here and earn a salary that does not in any way reflect my value to this company, to come here and live my day from 8 to 5 every day while wondering wondering what else I could do with my life. Is this really my purpose on this earth? And for many people, I feel like before you embrace that the freelancing, you've got to ask yourself those tough questions. Yeah. You've got to ask yourself the question.
Did we lose Bernard, or is it just me that can't hear him?
I don't know. Can I still be heard?
Okay, yeah, we lost you for a moment, but now we can hear you. Yes, please.
Yeah, as I said, where I am, the internet is very, very unstable, so it might go on and off. Please feel free to hit me up and let me know if I've gone off. I'm not sure where I lost me, but the point that I was making is that everybody has got to first of all ask themselves that question, that fundamental question of what is my purpose. Yeah. So once you ask yourself that question, then it becomes easier to understand how you can approach freelancing. So for example, I asked myself that question a long time ago, right? What is my purpose? And the answer that came to me, the answers that I gave myself led me to where I am now. I'm on a path that I created, I carved out because I needed to find out for myself, what am I good at, right? What can I do? What am I not good at? Um, what can I improve? You know, and when we answered those questions, it became easier. One of the things that you've got to understand as a person who's embracing freelance is discipline. Discipline is a very, very vital part of the work that you're going to do in so many ways. But first, because nobody is pushing you to work, nobody is pushing you to wake up, nobody is pushing you to get things done. And so the discipline to be able to actually do those things, the discipline to be able to actually work when no one is pushing you to do it, it's not easy. Secondly, again, along the lines of discipline, the financial discipline, because you don't have a salary, right? You have these monies that are coming from left, right, and center. You have this, you have that. So the discipline to be able to understand that this month might be a good month, you might earn from so many clients, and for the next 2 months, you have no business, right? No one is hitting you up for gigs, like you have no work. So the discipline to know that the money I earn today should be able to sustain me for a while, yeah, is also something else. And then third, and perhaps most important, the discipline to relate with clients in a language that they understand, because clients understand the language of 9 to 5. So for you, if your hours of operation of work are 3 a.m., the client is not awake at 3 a.m. This is when you've gotten this brilliant idea and you feel like, no, the client is not, should I share it with the client? The client is not awake at 3 a.m. So the discipline to understand that I may be active at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., but the client is active between 9 and 5. So the discipline to kind of compact all of that work, that communication into those hours is also something else. And the second thing that I thought I should communicate or share with you guys is, there are good days, there are bad days. There's a season when the good days are more than the bad days. And that's very good. You have time, you can travel, you can do this, you have these gigs, there's money coming in, you're happy, you're fine. When the bad days come, they're really, really, really terrible. First off, you don't have the safety net of a monthly salary, right? So if a client pays you, let's say, 2 million shillings for some gig you're doing, right? 2 million shillings by any standards is not bad money. This is a gig you've done for like a week, right? So the back of your mind, you're thinking, if I do 2 more gigs this month, I should be kind of about 6-7 million, and I'll be good. And then for the next 8 weeks, nobody comes through. No client, no business, no more money. But somehow there are 2 million you got, yeah? So knowing and understanding and appreciating that every shilling that you get could be the last shilling you get, it it reorganizes the way you do your work. It reorganizes your finances. It reorganizes the manner in which you relate with money, right? And even other people, because when a client approaches you and they have a gig for you and they're paying you well, they're understanding that they will pay me well, but this may be the first and the last time I'm working with them. So to be able to get the best out of who you are is something that everybody has got to understand. And finally, but perhaps most importantly, self evaluation and self-valuation. Self-evaluation in the sense that you don't have a boss to have this periodic assessment, right? To sit down and tell you, okay, so for the past 3 months, this is how you've performed, you deserve a promotion. Or for the past 3 months, this is how you've performed, you deserve a salary raise. You don't have that. You are your own self-assessor. So the honesty to sit there and say, for the past 3 months, have I achieved the things that I set out to achieve? And being honest with yourself to say, I don't think I've hit the mark, or I think I've overperformed, or I've underperformed. So the honesty with yourself is a very, very crucial thing. And then, so that's self-evaluation. Then self-valuation in the sense that how do you value the work that you do? How do you value, because you don't pay rent, like office rent, yeah? You pay, of course, house rent, but you don't pay office rent. You don't drive to work. You don't sit in traffic to go to office. You don't, ask your boss, or where's the Wi-Fi is off. You don't have an IT guy who you can say, my emails are not going. You don't have an HR person to say, this person is harassed. Like, you are your own institution. So to be able to have all those departments working in tandem in your mind, and to be able to kind of compartmentalize your mind to understand that I am the HR, I'm the finance manager, I'm the COO, I am the CEO, I am all of that in one individual. It's something that comes with time, obviously, with practice and all these things. But also, it's something that, as an individual, you should be ready and willing to go through the trenches. Because, as I said, there are bad days. The days when you need the HR person to be the one speaking, yeah, and you have no HR training, yeah, or you need the finance person to be the one speaking, and you have no finance training, or you need the CEO to be the one speaking, and you've never been anywhere close to conversations around CEOs in your life. So freelancing, it requires you to wear so many hats, which for me, I take on with pride, I take on with joy, because it gives me the room to learn. It gives me, the space, the platform to be so many people all at once. Yeah. And as I wrap up, I just want to say that while you might be excited about the freelancing world, and you should be, yeah, you should be, because there's a lot of opportunity that lies out here, a lot of opportunity. You should also be prepared to put in a lot of hard work. Sometimes the hard work that we do is deeper, more profound, and harder than the hard work that the 9 to 5 people do. Because for us, we have to dig ourselves out of all those pits we are in. Because you have nobody to demand from, you have nobody to call you at 9 and say, dude, you've not showed up to work. Is there a problem? You have nobody to say, oh, by the way, it's time for the lunch break. Guys, go have lunch. You have nobody to tell you it's 5 p.m. Like you are your own police. Yeah. You are the one out in the street. You are the one also policing the person out on the street. So you should be somebody who's prepared to embrace all of those challenges. Ultimately, when and if you embrace those challenges, I can tell you this is the greatest path you can ever pursue. Absolutely. The most wonderful path you can pursue. I hope that you've had at least most of what I've said, because my internet is up and down. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. It was very interesting when you talked about the freelancers that respond at 3 a.m. I also Dennis on the chat said it's a great point. There's a guy they collaborated with. He was good at his hustle, but he always replied to information from 3 a.m. So they nicknamed him last seen at 4 a.m. And I think it's because most freelancers probably work through the night, maybe also depending on their different productivity levels. So they find that when they are more settled at night, they're working on everything. So they want to send all the information they need to send all at once, so that when they wake up, they can respond to everything in a bunch. I used to be like that. That's why I know that. But yeah, it was quite interesting when you said that. But thank you for sharing all these insights about freelancing and how people can build a portfolio. I think also trying to point out that the difference between someone who is in formal employment and someone who is freelancing is that there's no one to push you. So you have to push yourself to get things done. I think that's a great awakening and a good reminder. And of course, one of the ways to push yourself is to write a great portfolio that you can use to, acquire your clients. I see someone I think has a question. Fiona Agaba, please unmute your mic and speak to us.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for creating this space for us. Thank you to the presenters, Mark, Biwal. I just have one question. How do I handle like the taxes and the legal obligations as a freelancer? Because I'm sure that will come up eventually, URA and stuff. So I'd like to know how they handle that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Any other questions? Fiona is asking about handling taxes and finance as a freelancer. Anyone else has a question? Okay, if no one else has a question, then I guess we'll take that.
Yes. Natasha, could you kindly allow me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much, our panelists, our trainers, Mark and Biwal, first for sparing time to join us this morning. Very much it was on short notice. If you could, I heard what Biwal and Mark presented. If you could also kindly tell us maybe the common mistakes.
Isaac, could you kindly come closer to your mic? We're struggling to hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. If Mark or Biwal could tell us maybe a highlight on the common mistakes one should avoid while creating a freelance portfolio. Yes, because I think there are many mistakes we make in doing so. And also, how could you kindly help us, one, present a portfolio, have really a wider outreach online, the visibility out online? How could really one do that so they can have the wider audience know about them and the work they're doing? Those are my two questions. Any can answer those.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. So in the meantime, I guess we'll take these ones as we wait for any other. I'll just reiterate the questions for our facilitators, and then we will have we'll follow the order that we used in the facilitation. So Mark will give his 2 cents on any of the questions, and then we'll move to Bernard as well. So the participants were asking, Fiona Agaba asked how to handle taxes and legal obligations as a freelancer. Dennis Mutsali is asking, how can you find opportunities for gigs? So I guess where are the platforms or the communities where they can find freelance opportunities for projects and work as a freelancer? And then Isaac is asking, what are some of the common mistakes that one should look out for when creating a portfolio? But also, how can we create a portfolio that reaches a wider audience? Over to you, Mark, and then Bernard. Barnard. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Thank you, Natasha. Fiona has a tricky question. Taxes as a freelancer. So it's really going to go back down to the structure I'd said, collaborations and partnerships. I do believe if you have that correct, then you need not worry, because you're not only collaborating with people in your industry, but you also have to have friends that do law, friends that do all these different things, where it's like, yeah, they're your friends, but they're also going to be your collaborators, So I personally have a friend of mine who gives me finance guidance and everything, And once in a while, every quarter, we'll go through something called financial management. And recently, we're even talking about how can the assets of tomorrow help you today as a freelancer, So just taking on these crash courses, there are also courses on Google that you could take, where it's like they teach you the basics, how to manage this particular stuff and how to also file your own taxes. But here in Uganda, the best thing to do is have a collaborator, a friend of yours who you know is very good at finance. Talk to them, let them help you with some guidance, let them show you how to get a TIN number, how much you're supposed to pay for these particular things. And also, you run a risk of not knowing what to include in a contract if you do not know things like NSSF, how the money is going to be paid. Do they pay it to you as a company, as an individual, and all that kind of stuff, because some of these things are supposed to be paid by the company that's hiring you for a particular assignment that they would want you to do. Yeah. So when you're working with partners, remember these are entities and establishments. They have a legal team. So for the most part, for them, it will be their legal team to come up with all of that paperwork, to draft all of that stuff. But as an individual who's doing something for maybe another individual, maybe it's someone's graduation, and you have to give them a quote, all these things need to be included in the quotation that you're giving this person, because people should also be willing to know where their money is going if they're paying you this particular money, the unit costs and everything. So you just include it in all of that. So the person will know, okay, it's 3 million, but this is how it's going to be split. Okay, so I know I've actually paid for all of these other things, So just making it known to whoever is giving you this money, and also partnering with companies that have some good brand credibility, so you're doing the right thing. Yeah. And then when it comes down to the challenges, I've seen the biggest challenge is people actually promoting or communicating. They don't communicate enough. They don't promote enough. Most freelancers are working while people are out networking, right? So you're at home, you're on an assignment, but people are outside, they're networking, and they're getting links, they're generating all these other leads for their next stuff. So what I would say is because these days there's so many people that are also freelancers, but they are managers, especially in the industry that I'm in, right? Creation. So there's so many managers in this particular space. And I do believe almost every freelance industry, sector has its own managers per se. Because now, like in the creation world, you'll find this guy's managing, say, maybe Uncle Mo, Raymond Kahuma, and so many other people. And he's linking them to advertising agencies, So then that's the person that's going to be a social capital for you while you're doing this work, That's the person who will tell you, hey, I do believe this is a very good opportunity. If you came through for this particular, maybe Creative Friday at Motive, will meet so many other people that you could maybe talk to and look at collaborating or partnering, So you know that, hey, I have this calendar of mine that shows me on this particular day, I'll still be outside, not just wasting time, but potentially finding people that I could share this work with. So communicating it, even just verbally, when you go for these conferences, when you go for these meetups, I do believe most freelancers are out working to make sure that they have done a great job for the client they have at hand, and they lack on this other side when it comes to building a portfolio, because the more you do, the better you become, and the more credible your work becomes. Yeah, I think that's my 2 cents. I don't know if you guys have any follow-up questions on what I just said. I'm ready to hear it, Fiona and Bakash.
Thank you, Mark. In the meantime, we'll have Bernard.
Yes. I hope I can be seen and heard.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, just can I be seen and heard?
Yes, please. We can see and hear you.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me and or see me?
Yes, Bernard, we can hear and see you.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I don't know. Is it my network or something? Oh, you can. Okay, great. Good. All right. Yeah. So first things first, the issue of taxation. First off, I want to say that when I'm negotiating whatever gigs or whatever work I'm going to do, I always put into consideration, the taxation bit. Yeah. So there's always depending on what kind of work you're doing, there's, withholding tax, or whatever, that if I'm quoting a certain figure, the client has got to be aware that there's a tax that I'm paying, right? And so I'm paid, whatever I'm paid plus the taxes. And so these taxes, because URA has my team number, they have my details. So if a client files or tells the government that we are working with this guy, and we've paid him this amount of money, URA collects their tax. And I like to say that I want to always do things by the book, right? Obviously, sometimes that's very difficult because as a person who is a freelancer, there's so many things that I struggle with, um, especially from the finance point of view. There's so many things that I struggle with, and so I try as much as possible to navigate that space while cognizant of what the client requires or what the client needs. There's some clients who require you to file returns or do everything that needs to be done depending on what the client requires, right? And then secondly, again around taxation, I mean, if I do work for you, you call me up and you say I need you to do for me this, and I'm sending you, I don't know, 500K or 100 or 20K or whatever, and I do it for you, and the government is not part of our business. Why the hell do I want to make the government part of my business? I don't, unless you put it on paper and you say, because I am a legitimate company, I'm dealing with person X, I'm dealing with B-Wall, this is how much I have paid him. Then, I have no option but to pay the taxes. And as I say, if URA requires me to pay a certain tax, I have no problem paying that. And sometimes those emails come like, hey, by the way, there's this work you've done today, we require you pay someone. I have no questions, I have no issues. I pay the tax. For me, it's as simple as that. I never really struggle too much in that regard. I never really go out there looking for problems, for lack of another word. So paying tax is a very, very important thing. If you want to be legitimate, there are companies that will not allow you to work with them and for them unless you're tax compliant. So tax compliance is a very, very important thing, especially if you want to scale up as well. You've got to keep that at the back of your mind. Get that TIN number, register yourself, and do your part, pay your taxes. The questions about the mistakes we make, I think that would require an hour of its own because there's a world of mistakes that we make. There's a world of mistakes that I have made. Fortunately, I mean, mistakes are learning points for anybody, and mistakes are a reason for you to remind yourself that you're human after all. And mistakes are a place where you can start from in terms of growing to become a better individual. One of the mistakes that I've made, over the years is, I mean, back in the day before I kind of got myself together, was being indisciplined in the sense that because you have nobody to wake you up in the morning, because you have nobody to demand you to be anywhere at any time. You do what you play, what you feel like when you feel like, and sometimes life doesn't work that way. If you want to earn money, you've got to work in a certain system. If somebody sends you some information and they say, I need you to do for me a concept note, or I need you to write for me something, and they say I need it by say 4 p.m. You have to work with their time. You have to work within the demands that they have, right? The other mistake that I have kind of made over time is, is having a sense of like extreme satisfaction with what I do, because I'm a person, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I love what I do, and I never really stress myself. So sometimes I do like I do a gig, and at the end of it, I feel like this gig has made me happy. Even if I don't get paid, I am just happy with the work I've mistake very many people do, especially creatives and people who are passionate about their work. You need the money. Yes, you get satisfaction in creating a song, in creating content, in creating video, in creating an art piece. You get satisfaction as an individual, but you gotta pay bills, man. So that satisfaction is not bankable. So that's one mistake that very many freelancers do. And finally, the other mistake that very many freelancers do is assuming that you're here forever. Yeah. When you get a gig, you're thinking, I'll get another gig and I'll get another gig. You probably will, but that thought process, it takes away from your ability to give whatever project you're working on 100%. So that's one mistake that very many freelancers make. You get this gig and they're paying you good money, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't need to do any other gigs. I don't need to, break my back, and I don't need to. But that's very, very far from the truth. You need to keep working hard every day, not just to earn money, but also to grow your craft. Yeah. And finally, the issue of making sure that every day that comes and goes, I am better than the previous day. Nobody demands that of you. Nobody requires that of you. So you have to be your own police. You have to be your own critic. So sometimes you've got to look at your work in a lens that is a third party. If I was somebody else, this work I've done, would I be happy with it? And if your answer is yes, please, you are on the right path. Yeah, a lot of the freelancing comes from self initiatives. Yeah, it comes from a place that is inside of you. It's not from outside, it's from inside of you. Whether you're evaluating the work that you've done, or you're looking at your surroundings and thinking, am I where I want to be in life? Yeah, nobody's going to ask you those questions except yourself. So within you. I hope that that kind of covers some.
Okay, thank you so much.
Am I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. About your
No,
network?
I can't hear anyone or anything. I don't know whether it's on my end, but I hope.
We got you. It must be on your end because we can hear you. But thank you so much for the insights. Thank you, Mark, as well. You and Bernard have done a good job breaking down this topic for us today. And we really do appreciate your time and your insights on the topic as well. Kindly don't leave us yet. We're going to take a group photo, but right, our virtual group photo. But right before we do that, would like to run a poll to just collect some feedback from our participants regarding this session. Kindly take a few seconds of your time to just give us feedback on this. It helps us to continue to curate content that is relevant for you and for your needs in the career space. So if you look at your screen right now, I've popped up a very short poll. It should take you less than 5 seconds, really. Kindly fill that in. And then in the meantime, I'll ask those who are able to turn their cameras on so that you can join me and we take a group virtual photo for purposes of keeping records. We also do have a session every single week on Friday at 11 a.m. We're still going through the Future of Work series, different topics under the Future of Work. And very soon we'll be having a physical session, which we'll announce in due time. So we'll also look forward to having you there. Please turn your videos on so that we can take a
Wait, am I also answering these poll questions?
You could. You'd be nice to get your insight as well. You've participated
all
and
right.
you've had your other facilitators speak, so maybe you could give that
All right.
evaluation from that perspective. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we have 5 out of 6 that have participated. One more person, and then we will be good to go. Those who have not turned on their videos yet, kindly do so. We'll be taking our virtual photo soon. Next week, we'll have another session on Friday at 11 a.m. online. So please do not miss. We also have a WhatsApp channel for the community for those who are not yet part of it. Maybe Isaac, you can just help me share the link on the chat. Okay, I think everyone has responded to the poll. So now let's take our photo. Please smile in 1, 2, 3, let's go. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. It's been amazing having you. Thank you once again, our facilitators, for your time and for all the knowledge you've shared with us. We really appreciate the nuggets. And I hope that going forward, we'll make more effective portfolios. Thank you. See you next week and have a lovely weekend. Bye.